Welcome to From the Concrete, the series that recognizes pioneers, innovators, trendsetters, and most of all, the next generation of changemakers by giving them their flowers now. I'm your host, Brianna Elmore, and today we have another amazing guest who I cannot wait to talk to with y'all. But before I do that, I have to introduce him. His name is Lekeith Dashawn J. Williams-Jones. Hi, Lekeith.
How's it going?
It's going really well. I'm so excited that you're here.
Excited to be here.
Yes, I'm excited to get down on the conversation. But before then, I must read this amazing, illustrious bio.
Let's get to it.
All right, let me get to it. You're just gonna have to take these flowers, okay? Right. An LA-based writer and filmmaker, originally from Aurora, Illinois, Lekeith Williams-Jones earned his BA in Mass Media Arts from Clark Atlanta University, CAU. That's what y'all be saying. During his time there, he created his first short film, Lifted, which gained viral traction on Twitter and caught the eye of Jordan Peele. After graduating, Lekeith gained hands-on experience working behind the scenes on popular reality shows such as Love and Hip Hop, Married to Real Estate, and Judge Steve Harvey, as well as on numerous high-profile music videos and commercials. He wrote, directed, and produced his second short film, Urgency, at the height of the global pandemic, and the film has since amassed nearly 800,000 views on YouTube since its release. His latest directing effort was for the web series Moments, where he wrote and directed the episode Why You're Single, which was later acquired and aired on Aspire TV. Welcome to the show, Lekeith.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. First of all, I'm so happy to talk to you. I'm so excited to, first of all, let y'all know who we got over here, okay? But also to be able to talk to you and just get down to it. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you here. Let's do this.
Let's do it.
Let's start with getting to know more about what led you on your path in getting to the root. So first things first, we're going to put on some gloves.
All right, bet. Put on the gloves.
And so, like, the rougher side is the right side.
All right.
Got the gloves on?
Yep.
All right. So we're going to get to these questions now.
Bet.
So what was the first example from your childhood that inspired you to pursue a career in film and television?
Man, I ain't gonna lie. People never believe me when I say this, but the thing that I would say inspired me or influenced me was my grandmother used to watch like the daytime soap operas. Mm-hmm. I used to see that when I was a kid. All My Children and One Life to Live on ABC. My grandparents used to watch me while my mom was at work, mm-hmm. And I don't know. I was like a little kid watching these shows, and I was like fascinated with the drama of it and like just the storylines. And it was like it come on every day. It's not like weekly, like it's every day. And
it's the stories.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And I was wondering like while I was a little kid why I was like fascinated with it. And then I don't know, that kind of sparked my mind of like storytelling. I think it is dope to be able to, and then the stories are super relatable. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like they tackle universal themes as far as love or maybe betrayal or just different things. But like all the characters were like white though, mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So but I don't know why like I gravitated towards it. And then as I like got older, I started to gravitate into like teen dramas because all the characters were like closer to my age. And then a lot of things that they were going throughout the show, like that was what was going on in my life as well. Mm-hmm. So that kind of inspired me like to pick up the pen and like kind of start writing and do I used to write, I didn't know at the time it was called spec scripts. Mm-hmm. I'll write my own version of whatever TV show I was writing. So I'll write I'll write my version, so my episode of it. You know, obviously I would use the world and use the characters, but kind of implement like my voice on how I would do certain things. 'Cause I didn't like a lot of the times like how certain storylines went. And then that led me to kind of down the line as like start telling like my own stories. So, but that was like when I was like 13, like 14 years old doing that.
But that's pretty major, writing specs at 13. Like, and I think sometimes we'll do something and it'll be like, oh, it is what it is. But like, that's a big deal. You know what I mean? Like, people are in grad school. Me being people are in grad school writing specs right now. So, so I think that that's a major deal. And I also think that the way that those shows kind of run, they're always cranking out stories. Again, like you said, it's every day. Yeah. And then they also have captivating stories, right? So I think being able to watch that and see and learn from that and have that kind of be your template, it had to have been a very good foundation so that you can learn how to tell stories. Even though sometimes, soap operas can be like, all right, this is getting out of hand. But at the same time, it's like, it's really good for you to develop that storytelling, like, gene almost, you know?
That's where I got the storytelling bug from. That was really what, like, the daytime soap operas. Which a lot of people really don't believe, but, like, I mean, that's what got me into it. You know what I mean? It was that before anything else. Yeah. And everything else kind of came, like, after.
Did you start enjoying your specs more because these were more realistic and you could kind of build more things that were familiar to you in these worlds?
Man, I ain't gonna lie, my specs weren't good. Like, they weren't. I don't know. Like, looking back,
13.
Yeah, I was just more so writing just because I had how much like I adored those stories and those shows, and then as a kid I was kind of more quiet, like a lot in my head, and that was I would say like therapeutic for me to kind of just like write and kind of be able to. But I was like telling stories that maybe certain things that I was going through, but putting it inside of their world and kind of have those characters kind of go through it. So, I mean, those shows were like kind of like escapism for me a little bit, you know what I mean? Even though like I related to it, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good comfort show. Yeah. But also I think that is really what being a creative person is about, being able to use your art or find your medium of art and be able to make it like a cathartic process. You know what I mean? So it's like, definitely. Okay, woo, all right, I can get this off my chest. Maybe they can work this out. Because, it's like, I don't know. And especially being a kid, it's only so many things that a kid can do, but definitely. It's like if you build these different worlds and build these different stories and just kind of even explore how we can potentially solve whatever it is that you're dealing with. I think that's a really good tool.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to get to this potting.
All right,
ready?
Let's do it.
All right, so we're going to take about half of this dirt and put it down first.
Okay, half.
Half.
All right, because I don't know how to pot. But
just, just pour it in there.
Okay, bet.
It's no perfect way to do it. Or imperfect, for that matter. All right, so what was working on reality television shows like Love and Hip Hop or Married to Real Estate? What has that taught you about crafting stories as well, like from a production standpoint?
Man, that's an interesting question. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna say I didn't respect reality TV before going into it, but when I got into it, I got to know, just different producers and like how the show's produced, and like I seen like how it was entertaining and why people gravitated towards it. And I learned that you can be a storyteller in any type of medium. It doesn't really have to be film or television. I mean, you can, like, that was a form of storytelling. I mean, it a lot of people don't know. I mean, well, some people talk about, if it's real or not. I mean, a portion of it is real. It's just more so formatted to go like on television. I mean, like, I learned that, you could just be a storyteller in any type of medium, because if you're a producer on one of those shows, like a story producer, I mean, you're still considered really a storyteller, because you have to you have to organize and kind of structure the beats for it to align on a episodic television episode, if that makes sense. So that's really what I learned, and that's what it was on Love and Hip Hop and Married to Real Estate. It's mainly what they did. Judge Steve Harvey, that was more so courtroom comedy with some heartfelt moments. I mean, I had a lot of great moments on that show as well. I worked as a production assistant on all of those. Just Steve Harvey. I got to sit in. It was a kind of a big meeting, like right before they went inside production. They kind of like outlined how the show was gonna go, and Steve Harvey was there, and kind of just seeing like how he took certain notes and like certain things that he wanted. I never got to sit in a room like that with somebody of that magnitude to kind of like, say how they wanted certain things and like how the show couldn't be a dud, you know what I mean? And like, we have to like get this right. So that was like really amazing to see, what I mean? It was like all the producers and he was there, and they was kind of running through one of the episodes, and like he would give like notes, you know what I mean? They would kind of go back and make sure certain things were up to par. So all that was, real dope to see.
Yeah, and I would have to imagine now you like, you didn't really like reality TV, but for me, I love a good reality show. Yeah. So, but I also like, I would have to imagine a lot of it is like, okay, it is their real reactions, but it's more so producing this situation, kind of like really putting them almost in a pressure cooker so that these different things can happen and it can be entertaining.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Like, yeah. So like, for example, like there may be like a real problem. You know what I mean? They'll take it from somebody's life. Like, there may be a real problem, but you're going to over dramatize it or like create moments out of it that kind of heightens like the entertainment of it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Hopefully I'm saying that right.
It does.
And, you're going to produce it and making sure it's right for episodic TV. And then like, you got notes from different people who want different things. So it's about that. So it's still like storytelling. I think it's a more cheaper way like to produce it. It's kind of cheaper to kind of get that made, but I mean, yeah. So
yeah.
What's this?
Water. It's just
some
water. Spray the dirt. See, not bad. But I love that it's just like, okay, we're using real life things so that we can try to get real reactions and get good moments and good story from this, right? Because everybody's story it matters and it needs to be seen. So I think it's another way to explore those without having to really do all that heavy lifting of thinking about what they're gonna say, you know. So next question. Yeah. After moving to LA, you got the chance to meet Justin Hillian, the showrunner for Lena Waithe's The Chi. What valuable insight did Mr. Hillian impart to you?
Oh man, so I'm trying to not summarize it, but like how I got to there. You know what I mean? I was in a barbershop one day. This is probably like the first summer when I got to LA, and I was getting my hair cut, and there was this guy there, my guy named Trey. He works as a production designer. He works like kind of in the art department for like film and television. And it was our first time meeting. And I don't know if I was like, you first come to LA, I came here for a reason, to break inside, specifically for television. So like I'm meeting people, and I met him, and he went to HBCU, he went to Howard, and I told him, man, I made this HBCU horror film. And I'm pretty sure like I don't know if he watched it, but like I remember our conversation, we just kind of had like our first conversation. It was more so like a deep conversation about HBCU, what I wanted to do in film and television. I want to write specifically, and he told me, I believe he just told me he works like on sets. And then like we traded numbers, and that was just it. And then I want to say 2 months later, I was editing my film. Like I'm kind of editing it day and night. I was working like a pretty like crappy job at the time, like 12-hour shifts. So like I remember I woke up maybe one morning, and I ended up getting a phone call from him like randomly. I think we just had texting one time, like, hey, this is, my name, like, your name. And we didn't text like again. And I sent him my film, but this is like the first day we met. But this is like a month and a half, maybe 2 months later. Yeah. And then he calls me. I don't know if he called me, he left a voicemail. He was like, hey, and I'm working on this pilot, and I end up running to the showrunner. And, man, like, I don't know, you were kind of like on my mind, like, like that. And, he was a writer, and he was like, man, I told him that you guys should like link up. Like he was like, upcoming writer. And he was like, man, like when I told him a little bit about you, he said he would love to talk to you. And I'm like, damn, like, all right. And then, he ended up like giving me his info, telling me who he was. And then that's when I found out like he was a showrunner, like on The Chi, and like, who he was. I was like, man, that's super dope. So I end up, talking to his assistant, and then we end up like having like a Zoom meeting. And man, he talked to me for like, we talked to maybe like about 45 minutes. And he just gave me a whole bunch of gems. I had like a whole bunch of questions just because there's not a lot of black men who write like in television. So seeing one who, or even just working in the film industry or television industry, like in general. So just seeing one is almost like seeing like a unicorn.
And then let alone being a showrunner.
Yeah.
You know, that's taking it up.
Yeah, that's like, man, it's like what, like less than 5%? I think just off the top. I think just it's less than 5% like men of color who even write for television. For real. So, man, I just got a whole bunch of gems from him. You know, we talked about my film, like what I was working on. He gave me, you know, gems as far as like, you know, trying to break in. And then, I mean, yeah, that was really really about it. He told me like his story. I told him where I was coming from. And it was basically like words of encouragement. But like that kind of kept me going, and that helped me end up like finishing the editing of my film, because that was like a very, very tough process. And I feel like that was kind of a voice in like my darkness, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was it.
So like from that conversation, what did you take? Because it inspired you, but like how did that like just have a domino effect in your life?
I'm gonna be honest. I never told nobody throughout that conversation. I was so locked in on editing. It was a conversation that we had, and to keep it short, I didn't have a sample ready. It was a pilot sample. I didn't have it ready. And I don't want to say he checked me a little bit, but he just told me like kind of always be ready. Yeah. And like that, you always got to keep that mindset, because you just kind of never know. You know what I mean? Like that conversation, it could have spiraled into something like different. Yeah. But at the time, I was just so locked into editing, and then I just got to LA, and I more so had a sample, but I wasn't more so confident in it at the time. Yeah. So I think learning from that is just to always be ready. And then like his journey was like super different as well, because it took him longer to kind of get in, like kind of break in and stuff like that. So, I mean, yeah, that's really what I took from it.
Yeah, you know I mean, it sounds like just like a tough love, like big bro, little bro conversation. You know, hey, you know, always be on point, because again, like you said, you know, it's already so few black people writing in television shows, let alone television shows that look like themselves. Facts. And then you can slice it in half for men and women. You know what I mean? So it's like, and then whatever else makes up, you know, your personality and who you are. So it's just like I feel that, and also I'm taking notes too, because it's like you always do have to stay ready and have everything, because they already have different things that are already operating against you. So it's like, don't give anybody any other reason. Always make sure you have your stuff on point, right?
Definitely, yeah.
And obviously, and it's like also too, you had stuff, but then be confident, or always working on it, or make something that you're confident in, or edit the stuff you got until you're confident with, and you can rock with it.
Yeah, I just think it's one thing I had bad. I will always kind of like put all my eggs in one basket. Yeah. But I realized that there's so much power in kind of working on multiple like things always, and always working on something new, because you never really know what's going to get you to another opportunity or get you like through the door, if that makes sense. Yeah, that like, you know, this may thing, you may be working right here, but you should also be working on this, because that one thing that you've been working on that you may not be prioritizing, it may be something like on a back burner that can like, you know, lead you to another opportunity. You know what I mean? So like, I didn't really think, you know, that film, like the first film like I made, like I don't really consider that, because this is the first film I ever directed. It was shot like really, really well. I had like a super dope DP, and it was some themes in there that were deep, but I was just so young making my first film. It was like, I wasn't ready to like explore them. It was like, man, I really want to make something dope. But I never knew like just that film would just even lead me to even having a conversation. Because he didn't see the film, but somebody else seen it, and then they were like, man, let me make the connection. So it's just always about working, and you'll never know who will look out, because that was just a random guy. He's my homie now, but that was just a random guy I met at the barber shop. You know what I mean? Like random, you know. But it's so crazy. My first job ever, when I was trying to break inside just the industry in general and work as a PA, my barber put me onto it. Like he put me on because, and it was like it was my first time going to him. Yeah. It was my first time going to him. I had moved back to Atlanta during the pandemic. This is when I was about to make Urgency. I went to this Hispanic guy. He was a barber. He was super cold. I went to him, and like he was getting to know me. You know, barbers when they have a new customer, they're gonna want to get to know you.
Yeah.
You just built a relationship, and I told him what I was trying to get into because I never worked in the industry. And I was like, man, I'm really trying to, like, I'm hungry. I'm trying to work as a production assistant and just anything in the production space. And then like he was quiet for a little bit, and he was like, hey, like I cut hair for a guy who produces in reality TV. Ended up sending him my resume. He shot it to another guy who's the producer. We ended up trading, emails back and forth. And then he ended up kind of like making a play. I was working a job at that time, and the day I got let go. I followed. I sent the email to the person he told me to contact that was on the show. I never heard back. The day I got fired, I just followed up, and then I was like on set like that week.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
That
like
is
how
crazy,
life
but
works.
that's alignment too. You know what I mean? So how did your experience at Clark Atlanta University's mass media program play a role in your journey?
Man, like I just kind of seen, like, as far as my educational background, I just went to school with all different types of people and like been able to have relationships with people with different walks of life, and it creates perspective, and that helps you like as a storyteller and kind of even crafting anything like narrative wise, just because I know the perspective of somebody from somebody who's from a privileged background who is white or a Hispanic, or maybe somebody from the LGBTQ community. But then like going to a HBCU, I never went to a school that was just all black. And man, like it's just kind of learning more about your culture and learning more about like our history. It was like super like inspiring. And then kind of there, it was like, I don't know, it kind of really, because going to Clark Atlanta, when I first got there, I just wanted to be a screenwriter. Like I didn't really have any aspirations of being a director. But then it was there when a couple people, inspired me to like, man, like I was trying to figure out how to break into film, and people were telling me like, man, like you should just make your own projects. And that was so, I was like, how am I supposed to do that? Like, you know what I mean? It was just like that. But then, man, like I had like some clout like on Twitter. Like I was just like, I was like, post anything that was going on around campus or anything just cultural wise. And I remember I just started posting like not film content, but say like, oh, I'm gonna make a film about this, like this. And like a whole bunch of actors would reach out to me saying, hey, like, let me know when you make that, because I want to be in it.
So like the little like short, like a skit?
Yeah, like so the first project I ever tried to make was like an In Living Color. What I was gonna say, that didn't work. Just because it was just kind of hard, you putting together a crew. But then I just always get support from my community, and then like just the student body as far as actors. So when you kind of get that support, it puts like the battery in your back to kind of want to keep creating. You know what I mean? So I think just seeing the power of our voices and why they matter in the world, going to Clark Atlanta, that really inspired me to pivot into filmmaking and kind of expand and just being a writer, if that makes sense.
So what would you consider to be the connective themes or the DNA between all three short films that you've directed and produced?
Man, one thing I love like exploring in my projects is or any project I work on is just like the humanity of Black people, and kind of just showing us in. So for example, my the short film I made, like Urgency, right? It's people look at that surface level. It's a crime drama about three girls who are plotting on robbing a trap house, right? But I knew like something like that a log line that would be entertaining, what people want to watch. But then it's like what you do to the characters after that kind of like, okay, you got them in, but like really, what are you trying to say? So I love kind of painting us as like just multi-dimensional, like, 3-dimensional. I feel like those are like super a great way to write like characters where, people. I had somebody had asked me about the main character I had wrote for that film. She's a girl who her brother's terminally ill, and she has to dive in a life of crime to save him just because she needs a certain amount of money. But but when you look at that character, it's you see like a young black woman, and it's easy to say that that might be stereotypical, but really when you look at it, you look deeper, that character was really, that whole project was really about desperation and sacrifice and what you're willing to do for someone you love. And I feel like that any woman from walk of life can kind of see themselves, they can put themselves in her shoes, whether it's suburban, white woman, you know what I mean? I just love telling like universal stories, but like us at the center, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and make it realistic for our culture so we can see how somebody got into this predicament, right? And it's just like, but at the basis, it's like she just needs some money because life is life in real bad,
So, it's hard to answer like the DNA because the third project was actually an episode of somebody's like web series. Mm-hmm. So I was more so writing and directing in what kind of rails, like what rails like around me, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of more so like it's an anthology, but I'm writing more so inside their world because they produced it. They kind of used all their resources to get it made, and it had to be like a certain duration. Like the first two projects I made were kind of longer short films, which I kind of won't make like longer short films anymore. The first one was close to like 40 minutes. The second one was, I don't know, like 37, 38. Mm-hmm. The third one, the episode like I had directed and written was like 8-9 minutes. Yeah. So it's a part of me because like I wrote it, but it was more so I have a different approach when I'm actually a project like I'm writing, directing, and like really producing because I'm kind of approaching it a different way, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So,
and even from what you said though, like just humanizing the Black experience, right? Because it's just like a lot of the time we don't get considered as whole human beings, you know? So I think that through your work, especially with the ones that you create and you create the worlds and all that stuff, you can absolutely have more fun to be able to do those and bring those type of messages home. So I think that you've done an amazing job of that. And you did an amazing job with this planner. You did good for somebody that hasn't planned.
I haven't at all. Like,
I think
crazy.
You're doing well. Okay, don't be too harsh on yourself. We did good. Yeah. This was a good time.
Yeah.
Now, you've done so much in your career, but we would love to know how you fill your own cup and pour into yourself. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, and as we get to these questions, I'm literally going to pour you up some tea, okay?
Okay.
So you can give me some tea about how you deal with everything, you know?
Bet.
Okay. So, here, I'll grab it this way. So how do you pour into yourself, having dealt with the hustle and bustle of the fast-paced cities like Atlanta and Los Angeles? And you from around a big city also. Yeah. So how do you deal with that?
Sometimes I meditate, just take a good portion out the day, whether it's in, prayer or whether it's time alone. And kind of just sit and because it's easy, especially in places in LA, to, I don't want to say get lost, because when you're trying to get to a certain destination, you're trying to go somewhere and you're not there, it's easy to be in your own head or maybe get discouraged, like, oh, I'm not here. But sometimes, maybe weekly, I take time to just be grateful for like where I'm at and like where I've been to get where I'm at.
Yeah.
And that's like, just relaxing your mind. I do go to church, either, weekly or bi-weekly. You know what I mean? I would say that's pouring into myself. I mean, and maybe like other things, but they're not really like coming to my head right now.
It's no right or wrong way to pour into yourself. It's the things that help you out. You know what I mean? And so sometimes you need, like you said, sometimes you go to church because you need that. You know what I mean? You need to be replenishing yourself in some kind of way. Sometimes you don't go nowhere. And that's, in LA, that is fine. You know what I mean? Because trying to get around, that can be a lot too. And I think that it's just important to take a second. I think you really said something really good with, it's a lot of hustle and bustle, right? Yeah. So much going on, especially when you're hungry. You're trying to break into a different industry, and then even within that industry, you're trying not to get held in one position. You're always trying to progress, and you want to always move and network and stuff like that. And I think also it can get to a point where it's like, you always got to be hustling. You always got to be moving. And you forget about yourself. You forget to replenish yourself, or you sometimes don't even feel myself, I should say, don't even feel worthy of rest sometimes, right? And so it's just like you feel like, oh, I'm not doing enough. You know what I mean? Like Beyonce, you got the same 24 Beyonce do, And then it's like sometimes when you get in that way of thinking, which is not a bad thing, right? Because it does keep you moving and progressing. However, sometimes you can't forget. I like to remind myself I am living in an answered prayer, right? Me a couple years ago couldn't have fathomed being here, And so when you have to always take a second to like put it in a perspective in a different way, because it's easy to just not think about it because you're just so used to just doing.
Yeah, it's easy to it's easy to get lost in that. I would say, man, like just like 2 years ago, like when I first moved to LA, like I told you, I was working a crappy job. It was a we worked 12-hour shifts at this warehouse. It was like a warehouse, and man, it was a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Warehouse. I feel like I seen this one TikTok. And it's so funny. I forgot, it's one of my favorite creators. This one guy, he was like, yeah, that first warehouse job is gonna make you into a man. And like it wasn't my first. I worked some jobs like during the summer in college just to always have money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My dad always told me like to always, have money in your pocket, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean that and like, you work places like that and you're in Hollywood, but it seems so far away just because of where you're working.
Yeah.
And, like that's what I was saying, like, it's easy to kind of get discouraged. You know what I mean? Just before that, when I was living in Atlanta and I was working in reality television, I had my own place, you know what I mean? Obviously the cost of living was like real low, and I stayed like in a nice apartment, but it was like in a bad neighborhood. So like I would hear like you listen to 21 Savage?
Yeah.
Like where he said he was like trapping at, and he like, Glenwood. I lived over there. So like he don't be lying to those songs, like, cause it'd be like, man, like you were like shootouts, and like the apartment complex I stayed in was fairly like cool, but it's just like when you leave the apartment, like you really in the trenches.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So but it's a nice affordable place. And like, man, I just think about like, where I've been at, like places like that, and it's more so, and like, and then when you're working as a production assistant, you're not really making a whole lot of money. But places like Atlanta, you can have your own place, like you can like live.
Yeah.
And then like I said, working at this warehouse, so like I've been through like some things. There's like a lot of like long nights, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, just to even like get to LA. So, but I mean, yeah, it's part of the journey.
Listen, my first apartment by myself, I was also hood adjacent. At least I was gonna say, at the very least, hood adjacent. Be like, all right, it's cool.
Yeah.
Get on the ground on New Year's.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So in your voyage ATL article, you discussed television being a form of escapism. So how has your love of television informed your mental health process?
Man, wow, that's a great question. Well, my love for television, I told you where it started, where I really wanted a show that made me want to actually like be a writer, and like it influenced me as a storyteller, and like how I tell stories. It's a show called One Tree Hill. One Tree Hill. It's like a white teen drama. They only had like one black character. It's basically about two brothers who didn't grow up together. They had the same dad, and they just lived like different type of lives. They were but what drew me to the show was basketball. They used basketball to incorporate like a lot of different themes of like life. And I really related to the show because I grew up playing basketball. But then when I got to kind of when they got to exploring the characters, I feel like they just wrote those characters like super, super dope. And I related to them even though I didn't grow up like them. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like a lot of stuff like I dealt with, like when I was growing up playing basketball on my dad's AAU team, I feel like a lot of the kids, they ended up, as we got older, they got in trouble. You know what I mean? A lot. So it's like a lot of different stuff like I was going through. Like I had friends who died like of gun violence, friends who got locked up, and then so the show kind of like you wouldn't. And the reason why I'm saying this is because you would, when people hear like that was like my favorite like type of show, they would kind of look at me not different, but it's just like I don't fit the target like demo to that show. But man, that's when I realized that storytelling is like super universal. And I used it as a escapism because like, you know, you would get lost in a world. But what gravitated me towards and what kept me like really locked in was like a lot of things that they were going through, you know, like the universal themes that I see myself in those. And that's when I realized that sometimes within storytelling, it's not about, I mean, it's about the color of your skin, but it's just certain things that people go through that everybody can relate to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, yeah, that kind of like, I don't know if that answered the question exactly as far as like my mental health, but I would say to answer it directly, on television, I seen other characters like going through what I was going through like in real life, and it kind of helps you out mentally because you just know like, okay, what I'm going through here, I'm not going through alone because somebody had to write this, and that means it's universal. You know what I mean? So
what outside of the entertainment world keeps you emotionally, mentally, and spiritually filled? And this is like, you know, it could be anything.
Well, I told you I grew up playing basketball. I don't play it these much like these days, but I would say just like fitness, just because I used to go to the gym a lot with my dad, kind of growing up. So it's kind of instilled in me to just be kind of active, and that just helps you like mentally. I would say a couple years ago is when I just started going consistently, and it just helps me like a lot mentally. Like I don't know why, I don't know the exact terminology, but obviously like, you know, being in the gym, it kind of helps you with your mental health. I would say that man, and just really just experiencing life, like I think that just kind of helps you mentally, because there be a lot of times where I'm stuck mentally and like I may not be experiencing life because I'm not at where I want to be at. But I realize that a lot of people feel like that. A lot of people aren't where they want to be at. But then, you know, where do you want to be at? Because it's really kind of no destination. Because like if you get there, then it's like, I mean, it's life over with. Like, what do you? Because then I feel like, you know, I feel like you try to get one film done. It's like, all right, that's cool. Like, you know, if it does really well, or whether it flops or it does like really, really well, it's like you have to make like another one. And then is that going to do well? It's like you keep going. Like, so I said all to say to just really experiencing life and just knowing that, you know, like we're only here once. Yeah. So, I mean, so yeah, really just those two things. So.
Well, I think that's good, especially for somebody that creates story. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's very important to experience life, because how can you portray it if you don't live it, you know?
Facts, that's true.
So that makes sense. Well, thank you so much for telling us how you pour into yourself, okay? You did great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Now, let's get a little wild and a little nosy in Wildflower, our rapid this or that game. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. So you're going to pull first.
Okay.
And then you hit us. All right? So here you go.
Let's see. Love and Hip Hop or Just Steve Harvey? Ooh. Love and Hip Hop. Love and Hip Hop. I love the experience. I love the crew. I was real close with them. It felt like family.
That's good. Okay. Yeah. And it was like, that was the first thing to kick it off, right? Yep. So yeah, you gotta go with the
Yeah.
All right. Your film Urgency or your film Lifted?
Oh man. Urgency. That was a lot of grit, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And to that, I like, you know, that kind of, and that project made me to a man. You know what I mean? 'Cause that was a lot of hard work. Yeah. A lot of hard work. You know, I self-funded it. A little bit of budget that it had, and didn't really have that much of a budget. It was shot during the pandemic, and then what it kind of went on to kind of go do. And I feel like I was a better writer and filmmaker at the time.
Yeah.
Than what I was with Lifted. Lifted, I was just more so pick up the camera. I was trying to get something done.
Yeah, and then it's like the evolution.
Yeah.
Jordan Peele or Ryan Coogler?
Ryan Coogler. Okay. Ryan Coogler is the reason. If it was one person I had to point to why I wanted to be a filmmaker, it was him. It was I seen Fruitvale Station with my mom. That was the first film that I ever shed a tear on, like that. And then seeing him doing that at that young time, and then I feel like I feel like we're like very like alike as far as like I would if I mean he's older than me. I mean I have a mentors around his age, but like we would. I know, like, we would be, like, super cool if we just knew each other. You know what I mean? So, I relate to him.
I love Ryan Coogler. Yeah. So, it's like, really, it wasn't no wrong way to answer that.
Oh, LA or ATL. Ooh, I talk about this a lot with my friends. I would say kind of got to be quick. ATL, really, because I love the culture like more, and then I felt like I wasn't raised there, but I spent a good portion of my 20s there. And then, man, like I wouldn't trade the experiences of my time there for nothing.
Yeah,
You know
it's
what I mean?
also you grow like the city that you grow up in, like you grow up as an adult person. You know,
I would say I don't know what the period is between what like 20 to like I don't know like 20 like 25, but like I don't know. I feel like those are very important like years and
that
like
frontal lobe is developing.
yeah, yeah, man.
That's what's going on.
I really love that city. Yeah,
Shout out to Atlanta.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
CAU homecoming or Spellhouse homecoming?
That's tough. I'm gonna say with the homecoming. I'm gonna say CAU homecoming. I rock with Spellhouse. Like I said, that's neck and neck too.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Because it's really like the same for real, but like Spellhouse brings out more of the city like of Atlanta. Like you don't know who you'll see there. CAU is more so the school. Yeah. I would say CAU though. Who's being biased?
But I'm sliding by everybody's tent and getting some catfish, so it don't matter. All right, One Tree Hill or Degrassi?
Oh man, that's hard. I'm gonna say One Tree Hill. But Degrassi's like close to my heart though.
Yeah,
I love like coming of age stories and tackling subject matters that are universal. You know what I mean? So yeah. I would say One Tree Hill. But Degrassi ain't far off. I mean 1 through 7 when they had Drake on there was tough.
Well, that's it. You did good.
Yeah, and I appreciate it.
Okay, you didn't even have to cheat.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Those were some tough questions. That was.
We listen.
Good.
We dialed in around here.
Yeah.
We know that no one can do this alone, and give them their flowers. We would love to know who is inspiring you. All right. So, Lekeith, who would you like to give flowers to, and why?
Personal life, right?
Yep.
Man, I would say my mom. I want to say both my parents. Because we always like say mom, but man, my mom sacrificed so much for me. You know, helped me, get through college. Always, I hear a lot of people who are in creative fields say like, "Oh, my parents tell me like, oh, I need to go get like a real job, or I can't do this, I can't do that." My mom's always been like super encouraging. Always, like I remember one time I told her, yeah, I just want to like make like films and like TV shows. And then it's like I told her one time I want my own production company, but like I don't know, it just kind of seemed too far to reach. And she was saying like nothing's like out of reach. So sacrificed so much for me, had me like at 18, never always steered me like the right way. It was like growing up, you always kind of like other kids get to do other things where like I had a curfew, like I had to be home like 12:30, but then like I would be like upset about that because the kids I was hanging out with, they'll be out like all night and like let them do that. But my mom like made me like come home like at a certain time, and it's like I don't know, like they just instill like certain things within you, and then as you kind of grow older, you kind of like look back and see like why they were like telling you certain things, and you grow up to be like a human that has discipline or like does like the right things. And like, I know you're just more so grateful for like the lessons and like just everything they did for you. But as you kind of like get older, like you just see it. Like, you don't see it like at the time when you're a kid. But then as you look back, you'll see maybe your peers and not judging them, but like how they're like living their life or how they entered adulthood. And you realize it kind of all started from how you were raised.
Yeah, you appreciate that protection.
Yeah, you appreciate like the protection, and then like even like the lessons, and then even the sacrifices because like I wouldn't probably be in LA if be in LA if I didn't go to the Clark Atlanta. My mom helped me get through Clark Atlanta, and then even like even the job like I have now, like I wouldn't probably have that without my mom if I didn't get like the education. And I got the education and then the connections I made in order to even get opportunities, when I was at school, and that was through, my mom, like, so, yeah, so definitely my mom.
Shout out to mom.
Yeah.
All right. So who is someone in your industry that's killing the game that you would like to give flowers to right now?
Man, as far as like in the industry, there's only two. I mean, I like there's people like I talk to that work inside the industry, but the people who like are my biggest inspirations or like my favorite creators is really Ryan Coogler and then RP like John Singleton. You know what I mean? I kind of always give like John Singleton his flowers, even though like he passed away. He kind of like, man, like his stories are just brilliant and kind of just showed us, like I said, like showed the full humanity of us. Ryan Coogler, like I said before, like in an earlier segment, I seen Fruitvale Station with my mom. It was like the first film that ever, you know, made me cry. And then seeing like a young black man being able to, you know, make a film like that. And then watching his interviews and then soon seeing who he was as a person, like I just seen myself in him more so. And I never seen really myself in anybody inside like the industry. Cause like I said, it's not a lot of black men, but then somebody who comes from where he comes from, like how he talks, you know what I mean? Like, you know,
no code switching.
Yeah, no code switching. It's not like a lot of black men that I haven't met that's like that. Man, so like, yeah, definitely just a big inspiration. I would say even just how like I tell stories, like sometimes not really more so influence with like he'll do something like, oh, I want to do it too. But the fact that sometimes like, you know, in the industry, I feel like if you make something like cultural that's other of your culture, they'll tell you to kind of make it more universal because people aren't really hit to the culture. But he doesn't really kind of switch up though.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of not switching up from like who you are or like the culture that you come from. That's something I really admire and really and respect, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So really, you know, him. But man, it's a lot of people who, you know, I definitely want to shout out like everybody in the industry that's black that's killing, because it's really really tough and it's really hard. You know what I mean? So and we get the opportunities are, we don't really get like a whole lot of opportunities. So anybody who kind of just gets through that door and it's just making a way and like and fighting not to compromise and like tell their story, that is a person of color. Like I admire them so much because it's not really that many of us that, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. And again, we need that example, right? So that we can see those things are possible and then we can in turn go and do what we need to do.
Definitely,
you know what I mean? So again, it's important. And then both of those men that you mentioned, they create cultural classics. Okay.
Love it.
So it's important. So they feed back. You know, they feed our communities in so many ways.
Definitely vital to our community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Now, we would love to conclude this episode by giving you your flowers.
Oh, man.
We have flowers for you.
Oh, dang. This is fire. I ain't never get flowers before.
See, again, we don't want black men to get flowers. We want them to get them when they can smell them. Okay?
Thank you.
Yes. And so, hold on. We have a card for you too.
Oh man, thank you so much. This means a lot.
Yeah, and so we are so inspired by you, your work, your message, and how you rose from the concrete.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so
this
much.
Means a lot.
Lekeith.
Y'all don't even know. Man.
No, this has meant a lot to us, and thank you so much. And we'll see you all on the next episode of From the Concrete.